A little lopsided. Hi and Happy New Year from Steady Wave Center for Contemplation. I'm here having some tea and I thought I'd make a video about something that's been on my mind for the past couple weeks. I've noticed that around the holidays there's a lot of conversation about being gentle with those in your life that might be experiencing loss around the holidays. But I don't often hear this language being used around New Year's time. And I suppose New Year's can be incorporated into the holiday season. But then once New Year rolls around, it's sort of all celebration and new beginnings and new life. This time of year is a very exciting time of year for many people. Conversations turn to resolutions, what we want to bring forward into the new year, how we want to adjust our lives going forward into the new year, and how to become the better version of ourselves. It's a time for reflection and new beginnings, and generally the feeling is one of hope and new and fresh starts. The new year for some people though is really tough. It might bring pain and sadness. The new year is just highlighting the fact that another year is going by, time is passing, things are progressing, events are happening, and their loved one isn't there to see all of it, to celebrate things and to bounce things off of anymore. It can leave them with a feeling that their loved one is kind of frozen in time, like their time stopped, and that's very disturbing. Some people might feel like their loved one who has died is missing out on life events, no matter how big or how small, how exciting or how mundane. World events, new technology, sequels to movies that they used to watch together, all of this going ahead, and the loved one isn't here to witness it in the way that we witness things here on earth. So I want to talk about some ways we can keep our loved ones close to us and caught up to date, even if they're not physically in the room with us anymore. Of course, there's no way to replace the feeling of, getting a hug from your loved one, or grabbing a coffee with your loved one at a cafe and sitting and talking to them across the table. But there are some ways that we can remain connected and up to date with those who have passed on. And of course, there are many belief systems about what happens to us after we die. Some people believe that we transition into entirely new and separate lives and have no memory of the past life. And some people think that absolutely nothing occurs after death. You live your life and then you die and that's it. It's just nothing. Some people believe that they're still here with us in some capacity, but we can't see them anymore. They're sort of watching over us from somewhere. And then there are others of us who simply don't know what we believe. We just think, well, it's a mystery. There is no way to know what happens after we die, and there's no concrete belief there. It's just kind of up in the air. We don't know. No matter what someone may or may not believe, it doesn't make them immune to feeling like there's a great distance between them and their loved one who's died. Getting full. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is talking. This might seem really simple, maybe overly simple, and maybe it is. Talk to people who have died. Catch them up. Literally just tell them what's going on, even though you can't see them with your eyes. You can do this wherever you want. You can do it in the shower, in the car. You can visit their grave or where their ashes have been scattered, somewhere that you are reminded of them, where they love to go. Or you can even talk to them when you're going on a walk. It doesn't really matter if people think you are a little bit funny for walking around and talking out loud. I would say though that an important note about talking is it seems to have more of an effect when you are speaking the words out loud into the air with your vocal cords. And I understand that that's not always possible or comfortable, so if it has to remain in your head, that's fine. If speaking to them in your head is the only comfortable way you're going to be doing that, talking to them, by all means talk to them in your mind. But maybe you want to try in private, if you can, talking to them out loud and just see how that feels. Whether you feel as if they can actually hear you or not, this act of keeping them up to date and keeping them in the loop can actually have an effect on your grieving process and on your coping process. You might want to include other people in this speaking to your loved one who has passed away. Maybe a mutual friend or a mutual family member. You can talk to this person together and kind of make it a fun conversation. So maybe like a three-way conversation between your friend, you, and the person who has passed. You can take turns keeping them up to date, and it can be a more group therapeutic process. Talk to them, talk about them, talk to them in your head, talk to them out loud, talk to them alone, talk to them with a friend, talk to them with a family member. Try talking to them. The next thing I want to talk about is writing. So we all know writing is a really powerful tool. It can be a tool for self-discovery, self-inquiry, and so it makes sense it would be a positive and powerful tool also for helping you navigate through the grieving process and feeling more connected to those who have passed on. Just like speaking to them about milestones and things going on in life and your day-to-day, whatever you want to share, writing is similarly impactful. I've got a lot of ideas about how to incorporate writing into this process, but the most simple one maybe is just to be writing letters. And once you've written these letters, it's up to you what you want to do with them, or how you want to release them, or how you want to keep them, how you want to have them reach your loved one. So use your intuition. What makes sense for you? Maybe you want to leave these letters at their grave. Maybe you want to burn these letters and watch the ashes kind of float up into the air and distribute throughout the environment. Maybe you want to save these entries for a future ceremony or a future date to let them all go, collect some and then let them go in a sort of ceremony. Or perhaps you want to put them on some kind of personal altar or dedicated space, sacred space within the home where you do some meditation or feel like you're getting closer to the loved one who has passed. Maybe you want to start a blog, and maybe you think about every time you hit publish, it's like sending that information off to your loved one and they can read what you've been up to. Or you keep a dedicated journal specifically for this purpose and you have it in a special place in your house or next to your bed. Maybe for you, you're a list person. I'm definitely a list person. Maybe you have a list of things that you want to share sporadically with this loved one, and you just have, you have your dedicated list, and then you have your points that you want to share every so often. Got married, went to Cancun, bought a car, graduated college, and you have just this ongoing list, and that's symbolic of you letting the person know that all of these things have been happening and sharing with your loved one. It's really up to you how you want to use writing to connect with your loved one, but the point is to have a specific place, a specific practice, somewhere to put these sometimes complicated emotions and feelings that come up when you're going on with your life, things are happening, and you wish that that person was here to see it. For my third point, I'm just going to say, get creative. If you're a person who's more comfortable expressing yourself through mediums like visual art or crafts or music or anything a little more creative, not that writing and speaking are not creative, of course they are, but these other mediums can also be used to feel connected to that loved one as you go through life without them. For example, you may create a piece of artwork that specifically relates to what has been going on in your life lately, or some big kind of points that you would have liked to share with your loved one who's passed, and dedicate it to that loved one. You might write a song to the person who has died, or for the person who has died, letting them know how you're feeling or things that have happened, and this could be with lyrics or not. It can be instrumental, it can be ambient, it can be, you know, a spoken word piece, anything. And none of this has to be literal, by the way. Say you sit down to create a visual artwork or a piece of music, and you're really thinking about how you've been feeling lately, or what has happened in the past couple months. Events and feelings can be conveyed in a vast multitude of ways, including color and sound and imagery and symbolism. Say that since this person who I loved died, I have been able to travel to Greece for my birthday, and I achieved some professional success in my life, and I really want this person to know about those things. I could make a painting and I could use the colors blue and white to symbolize my trip to Greece, and I could maybe, you know, paint a big undulating star shape to symbolize my professional success. You can create art in a way that uses symbolism and colors and textures even to kind of say what you're feeling. And I'm sure if you're an artist, you already know this. If that were to be translated into music, maybe it would be like really cool and slow and relaxed in the beginning, and then all of a sudden something very exciting and sharp happens and bright, and that can signify the fact that you've had this big professional success. The point is not for it to be good, it's just for it to be effective and for the purpose of connecting yourself with your loved one. So I want to say to you, let go of that judgment. Art has no judge anyway. Art is beyond judgment, in my opinion. You can translate that into any practice. I mean, anything you can think of. The need for doing these things might fade over time. As your grief goes through different phases and transitions, you just simply might not feel the need to do these things anymore. You might, instead of keeping a person up to date with everything you do every day, you might start to catch them up every couple months, and then once a year, or on special occasions or anniversaries or birthdays. You may not even notice that you've gotten further away from these kind of practices. It might just naturally happen that you needed them once and now you're in a different phase and you don't need that kind of thing anymore. But I want you to know that however you are grieving, however you're dealing with it, it is the correct way. There's no specific order or time frame. Be gentle with yourself, listen to yourself, and you will get through it. And if you feel like you're not getting through it, then ask for help. This grieving, this having losses in our life, it's universal. All right, thanks for watching. Happy New Year, and I'll see you next time. Bye.